Welcome back, everyone. Pal Pondron Weather here. In this update, we've got a very concerning weather setup in the week ahead. And so we're going to expand the view this afternoon and show you the big picture and what we're talking about. Turn your attention up here into the Pacific Northwest. We've got a significant trough that's actually building in some much cooler conditions, even some chillier rains and some higher winds as well, and even some snow into the higher elevations. But further north, we have yet another one that will be building back behind that one. But further south, we have a ridge of high pressure you see building in from Mexico. That's slowly going to be lifted northbound, tapping into this much more active subtropical jet stream. But we also have the warm sector that's highlighted across the central and eastern two-thirds of the U.S. So as these troughs dive in and dive southeast, they are going to be going negatively tilted, and that definitely spells trouble, especially tapping into that warm sector of multiple rounds of severe storms really all week long, unfortunately. So it really starts off today. So here's the overall hazard map. You can see our turn of our attention out west. Yeah, we've got numerous wind advisories here, all these areas in brown with those tight isobars up there in Oregon, back here into Nevada, areas of Southern California, back into Arizona, as well as into Utah and portions of Colorado there. There we have some higher winds, anywhere from a high wind watch to a high wind warning. And yes, that is snow cranking in the Sierras and as well as in the Cascades. But further off into Texas, in the warm sector, we are going to be looking at some more supercell thunderstorms that should fire across West Texas. That'll move across, tapping into this soggy air mass that's been inundated with floodwaters lately. So now that's going to aggregate flood concerns. So these new areas of concern for floods back into Oklahoma, back into areas of north and central Texas, all the way down into southeast Texas, later on today into the early time frame for tomorrow. So here's the setup. We've got the troughs, you got the tight isobars that's bringing in all the higher winds, but also bringing in that chillier rains elongated across Washington and Oregon and areas of northern and central California. And yes, in the blue there, that is your snow into the higher elevations. Notice the dry slot entering areas of the Southwest, but once we hit the dry line out there in West Texas, you see the areas of low pressure deepening, and we had some significant storms yesterday across that region. In fact, we're going to have another round of severe storms across the similar areas today, and all the darker greens there, that's why we have the flood watches in place further south into Texas as well as into Oklahoma. But then you have the showers pushing into the southeast, all the way up into the Ohio Valley as well, into the Carolinas, heading up into Virginia as we get into your Saturday time frame later on over the next 24 hours. So here's the setup for today. We do have that upgraded enhanced risk. Yes, this is again all three modes of severe storms. This is likely towards the Big Bend region, the San Angelo region. Yes, we could be looking at some significant supercells, the large hail variety. They've seen this 2-3 inch, 2-3 inch hailstones out there. And yes, unfortunately, the dynamics are capable of producing some tornadoes, and one or two of those could be a strong tornado. So definitely be on the lookout, likely probably after 4 o'clock this afternoon. But you can see this boundary highlighted across Missouri and Arkansas, back into as well as into Illinois. Those could be some marginally induced showers and some elevated thunderstorms as well. So definitely you have to be on the lookout within this sector as we heat it up in the afternoon. So there's the setup, heading into overnight on Saturday night. I think that's one of the more significant rains are going to be coming in. You see the snow continuing to fly across Oregon as well as into Nevada, though those higher elevations, sneaking into areas of Idaho as well and into portions of Montana. But look further south. That's why we have the flood watches in place across Oklahoma and a good part of Texas there. They've just been waterlogged as of late. And we're also going to get some showers and thunderstorms as well, likely not severe, but highlighted across the Carolinas, up into the mid-Atlantic, as well as into portions of the Northeast, heading up into Canada. But a more concerning setup is on Monday. You can actually see this trough really starting to dig in, and it's definitely always concerning when you have that kind of ski jump and the trough dynamics when it goes negatively tilted. You're tapping into that warm sector out ahead of it, and there's going to be a lot of moisture pulling in from the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to definitely spell trouble or severe storms as we head into the afternoon. So we've got plenty of warm conditions. We start off the day really warm. In fact, we have some record cold conditions with those troughs moving in from the northwest down to the southeast. So it's going to be a sharp temperature gradient with temperatures right at freezing. So all those areas you see highlighted in red there, that is your freezing mark as you wake up on Monday morning. And there's the warm sector further to the south across the plains into those areas of the southeast. Those are widespread 60s and 70s, starting off as low temperatures in the morning. But there's the precipitation, right? You got a lot of lift coming in off the Gulf of Mexico. You've got that ridge that's going to be moving in from Mexico, elevating those temperatures. So I do expect further to the south, those temperatures are going to be spiking in a big way, and the dew points are going to be high. Some of these areas have excessive, slight, and moderate excessive heat warnings for this time of year because the heat indices are going to be well over 100 degrees deep down in the south, but got plenty of moisture feeding into that warm sector, and definitely concerned about highlighted across the central US for all three modes, especially as we head into Oklahoma and Kansas into a Thursday, Monday afternoon into Monday evening. So right now the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a huge area of an enhanced risk, and not only as well as a hatched risk, implying that's a big area that could get some significant 2-inch diameter or larger. That's what the atmosphere is calling for. And tornadoes as well, could be significant tornadoes. And it definitely looks like it can be a concerning setup, especially there in Oklahoma, as well as into Kansas, into the evening time frame with strong tornadoes is definitely a possibility, and very large hail as well. So the main concern is going to be right along the Red River into Oklahoma, as well as into Kansas and portions of Nebraska. And I think this actually would fishtail even further north back into Iowa as well, and feeding into portions of Missouri and Arkansas. So here's the flash setup, heading into the overnight hours. Unfortunately, it looks like another nocturnal type setup heading into Oklahoma, into Kansas, portions of Nebraska. And again, I think this, if anything, would likely expand and lift a little bit further north, heading into those areas into Iowa. But it didn't end there, folks, because it really starts to ramp up again on Tuesday. We've got two areas of low pressure. One is that 982 low pressure. There's the significant winds with that one. But we have another one that's going to be setting up shop across Illinois, and that is going to bring its own form of severe storms, as we head into Tuesday. So here's the warm sector. We've got the low 70s feeding up into Texas, back into Louisiana, back into Arkansas, heading into Missouri, back into Illinois here in the mid 60s for Illinois, back into Indiana, as well as Ohio. This puts all these areas into play for those severe storms as we head into Tuesday. So even right now, the Storm Prediction Center and the learning guidance highlights that area right around that low pressure center. So I think the more significant storms are going to be highlighted across Missouri, Illinois, back into Indiana, portions of Kentucky, as well as into Ohio. And this could even extend as far north as Wisconsin, back into Michigan. So it's going to be a widespread event heading further south into Tennessee, and then lighter probabilities further south on the tail end of this system back into Arkansas and far extreme portions of northeast Texas. But it's all going to be the culprit of this system, because the cooler anomalies just really take its sweet time. And there is your bullseye here of the temperature gradient, where you got the warm area feeding in out of the Gulf, coming in from the south, and you've got the much cooler anomalies for May standards. And in the middle, that's that battle zone. That is the more significant areas where we definitely are concerned about severe storms even heading into Wednesday, it could really start to amplify and really ramp up as well. So it's a multi-day event, folks. And even into Wednesday, looking really concerning now for those areas back into Arkansas, into Western Tennessee, into Missouri, but especially there in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, as well as into Kentucky. We could be looking at a significant tornado outbreak, folks, setting up on Wednesday, across that region. But I think this would even extend and have upscale growth. And so can't even rule out those areas across, West Virginia, back into Virginia, even the Carolinas could see some severe storms even on Wednesday. But I think it just continues to push across into the overnight. So we have another area of deepening low pressure center, 996 millibar, highlighted across the Ohio Valley. Very heavy rain with this setup, so you still got a lot of moisture content. That colder air mass is going to be taking its sweet time, so we got to get the cold front in to wipe out and cleanse the atmosphere, but you're going to be in that warm sector ahead of that cold front, and that would put you in the dynamics of all those severe storms until that cold front passes by your area. But I don't even think that's going to happen until even after Thursday, because there's the setup for Thursday with the warmer anomalies pushing in from the south and the southeast. And you've got the cooler air mass just taking its sweet time. So we could have some record low temperatures. We're likely going to have some snow across the higher elevations back into Montana, Wyoming, areas of into Colorado here, back into Utah, into Nevada. They could see some snow throughout the week in some of those higher elevations. And then you have the battle zone in between. And then you got the very warm sector, especially along the coast there. That's where you're going to be seeing those more significant heat indices well over 100 degrees as we head into the middle of the week. But there's the concern for Thursday. We still have a little bit more significant event even heading into Thursday with that cold front finally pushing out likely across Illinois and Indiana. But now we're heading into Arkansas mainly, back into Western Tennessee, back into those areas across Mississippi and areas of Alabama, but that even could extend further into the Northeast, and they could have their own severe threat heading into your Thursday time frame. And here's where we stand right now in the alerting guidance, kind of hints at that ahead of the cold front, ahead of the warm sector. So I think the more significant days are definitely going to be your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday time frame. But even Thursday, depending on the speed of that cold front and how long we can stay in that warm sector, even Thursday could be an elevated day as well across those areas in the southeast, heading into the East Coast and up there the Carolinas back into West Virginia as well. But it likely doesn't stop because that just continues to push through Thursday, even to possibly even later in the evening on Friday, as that cold front will continue to sag a little bit further south, and that puts the rain on Friday further south as well. So I think the cold front is going to be clearing this area. I say cold, like cool for many of you, but it's definitely cold enough to still snow on the backside. So you're going to be feeling the difference of about a 10 to 15 degree, which you would typically see this time of year. But there's the warm sector out ahead of it across areas of the east and back through Virginia and areas into the Northeast as well. But overall, here's the warm sector, kind of what we're looking at. So over the 7-day time frame, so you got multiple days, right? You got over 7 days. You got the warmer temperature anomalies really highlighted across the south, central, and eastern 2/3 of the U.S. And then you've got the colder anomalies, the colder push coming in from the northwest. That's going to bring the higher wind gust. That's going to bring some snow in the higher elevations. And that is going to bring some chillier conditions, and it will take its sweet time. So those areas will continue to remain on the cooler side. And I don't think really until Friday, heading into the weekend, that most of the dynamics are going to be disrupted with that cooler air finally intersecting the warm sector. But in its wake, it's going to leave a pretty good swath of snow, even for May standards. So some of these areas could pick up some decent totals across Montana, back into Wyoming, areas of Colorado here, as well as into Utah, back into Idaho, into Nevada, as well as into Oregon, and the Cascades and the Sierras just get crushed with heavier snowfall really all week long. And there's the rain prospects with the precipitation prospects. So most of this in the higher elevations is going to be in the form of snow, but further into the Intermountain West. But I think it really picks up across the dry line in West Texas. There through, that's where they have the flood watches there. But where you are in the warm sector, all these deeper reds throughout the week, you're going to be picking up some significant totals across Arkansas, Tennessee, back into Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia, feeding north into Illinois, back into Indiana, as well as Ohio and Pennsylvania as well, and then lighter amounts further up to the northeast. And if you're not getting snow for those areas into Montana or Wyoming, it's still going to be pretty wet across that region, even getting your own 2 to 3 inches of rain, or at least precipitation over those next 7 days. So guys, it's going to be a busy week. I'm going to be doing a lot of updates. I'll probably be going live several times throughout the event coming up. So make sure you do like this video. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel, and catch the next update while I protect you for and after the storm.